is happening in Sri Lanka's health sector? During the recent past, we've received numerous reports of patients in Sri Lanka going to hospitals in hope that they will be cured of their illness. Instead, they end up either in a worse position that they started off in, or even worse, dead. Good evening and welcome. This is Primetime News on TV1. There are some significant developments in this story and we've got all the details lined up for you here tonight. I'm Charlene Benedict for the News First team and I'm with my co-anchor Naviksha Gunasekara. Good evening, Naviksha.
Good evening, Charlene. Let's start off by taking a look at our headlines for tonight.
News First Headlines. Main sponsor.
Durden's Hospital, dedicated to you.
18 patients lose their sight after undergoing cataract operations in a hospital in Rajasthan, India. What caused the death of a young girl in the Peradeniya teaching hospital? Health authorities explain. Discussions continue on the project to build an oil pipeline connecting Nagapattinam in India to Trincomalee and Colombo. President says proper financial discipline is essential to overcome the economic crisis. Plans afoot to seek advice from Britain to increase the country's income. Nadisha Ramanayaka wins gold in women's 400 meters at the Asian Athletic Championships, while Samita Dulan clinches bronze at the Para Athletics World Championships.
News First Headlines. Main sponsor.
Durden's Hospital, dedicated to you.
Taking a look at those stories in detail. Indian media revealed that 18 people allegedly lost their eyesight in one eye after an operation at a government hospital in Rajasthan.
Over 20 patients in Sri Lanka were infected after they had used the drug prednisolone that was brought down through an Indian company.
Eighteen people allegedly lost their eyesight in one eye after an operation at the Savai Mansingh Hospital, which is the biggest government hospital in Rajasthan. When the patients complained of severe eye pain, the hospital authorities asked them to get themselves readmitted to the hospital. However, even after they underwent surgeries again, some of them underwent surgery more than twice. They could not regain their lost vision. Indian media reported that the patients had lost their sight after being infected with a bacteria named Pseudomonas. However, Indian media did not specify as to if the infection had a connection to a medical drug that was used on the patients. What happened to the patients in Sri Lanka? About 20 patients who underwent eye operations at the National Eye Hospital and the Nuwara General Hospital suffered infections in their eyes, and some complained of even having lost sight in their eyes. It was later revealed that a drug named prednisolone that was used on these patients had caused the infection. Burkholderia sulfacea was identified as the bacteria that caused the infection. Is there a connection between this bacteria and the Pseudomonas bacteria that infected the Indian patients? News First spoke to senior lecturer of the Department of Microbiology Faculty of Medical Sciences, Dr. Tushari Disanayaka.
The bacteria named Pseudomonas and Burkholderia sulfacea are two types of bacteria, but these two types of bacteria are very similar. When tests are conducted to identify these two bacteria, they react in very similar ways. Some time ago, the organism named Burkholderia sulfacea was named Pseudomonas sulfacea because during our preliminary tests, these two bacteria react in identical ways. It is difficult to identify these two bacteria by only conducting preliminary tests. But there are tests that can be conducted to identify these two bacteria separately.
The company that brought down the drug prednisolone that caused infections in the eyes of 18 Sri Lankan patients is located in the state of Gujarat, located adjacent to the state of Rajasthan, where the Savai Mansingh Hospital is located. They are located at a distance of approximately 800 kilometers. However, Indian media has not still confirmed as to if the loss of sight in the patients was caused due to the use of a medical drug. During the month of May in the United States, 4 people had died and 14 people lost their sight after an eye drop they used was contaminated with this bacteria. That eye drop too was manufactured by an Indian company. What did officials in Sri Lanka do in response to this situation? Health officials said that the stock of prednisolone in question had been removed from use. They went on to note that this had been a medical drug registered with the NMRA for over 4 years.
Another suspicious death was reported yesterday from the Peradeniya Teaching Hospital against a backdrop in which issues regarding the health sector of Sri Lanka are getting worse with each passing day.
The body of Chamodi Sandipani, who was hospitalized due to diarrhea and died under suspicious circumstances at the Peradeniya Teaching Hospital, was brought to her residence today.
Twenty-one-year-old Chamodi Sandipani was admitted to the Katapiti Regional Hospital on the 10th of July due to diarrhea. She received treatment at that hospital that night and was transferred to the Peradeniya Teaching Hospital on the morning of the 11th of July. Relatives said she fell ill after she was administered some medicine through an injection and she had passed away thereafter.
ඔය තප්පරේ බෙහෙත් එක දීපු ගමන්ම මගේ අම්මා ඔච්චර ඉජහට නැතුනේ කොහොමද කියන එක තමයි මට පේලිකාව. ඒ බෙහෙත් එක මොකද්ද? ඇයි එහෙම දෙයක් දුන්නේ? මොකද්ද කියන එක තමයි මට දැනගන්න ඕනේ දෙයියා. මට වෙන මුකුත් එපා.
කිසිම හිතවලක් කරලා නැහැ දැනට. මාස දෙකක් තුනක් විතරයි කිව්වා වාර්තාව දෙන්න. රස පරීක්ෂක වාර්තාව මේ අර ශරීර කොටස් අරන් කොළම අරන් ගින් පරීක්ෂණ කරලා තමයි මේ වාර්තාවක් දෙන්නම් කියලා කිව්වා.
Many people had come to pay their final respects to Chamodi Sandipani.
She was a friend to everyone. We will never forget her. Justice should be served. We never thought our friend will leave us so soon.
What happened to Chamodi? The director of the Peradeniya Teaching Hospital convened a media briefing and provided a clarification regarding the situation.
An open decision has been given. Blood and food samples have been sent for further examination. It is only after those tests can we issue a final decision.
Was there an issue in the drugs injected?
This is a drug that has to be given to patients daily. 2 grams of the drug ceftriaxone must be given. A single vial has only 1 gram. That is the reason why 2 vials were given. We usually check the CRP to see how bad the patient is. Usually it must be below 6, but that value of this patient was above 270. When this value is above 270, we know that the body has been infected with bacteria. At a point like that, we as doctors use antibiotics. As antibiotics were administered, she had broken down. This happened when there is an allergic reaction to the antibiotic. When there is an anaphylactic shock, sometimes the patient dies. Even if you analyze global data, we are unable to save about 1 to 2% of patients who suffer this situation. This drug was given to many patients in that ward on the same date. We don't know if there was an issue with the quality, but in this case we know that such complications can occur when such a drug is administered.
Meanwhile, doctors and healthcare workers met with the opposition leader and several other members of the opposition at the parliamentary complex today.
These should be considered as homicides which are deliberate, and we should charge these officials and politicians in courts and take action against them. We revealed everything to show that there is an issue here. We expect to find a solution to these issues soon. However, we need to accept that the health sector of our country is facing its worst crisis. The independence of the NMRA has collapsed today. Experts in the field have been removed from the NMRA. They are yet to appoint a professor in pharmacology to the NMRA. Professors in the pricing committee have tendered their resignations. These are some of the issues. By strengthening the regulatory authority, we can overcome and control these shortcomings. Even though we remove terrorism, today we can see a terrorism within the health sector of the country. They are importing degraded medicines and equipments. When the Act clearly prescribes to follow a procurement process, they are carrying out businesses in the health field citing emergency purchase as an excuse. They are dealing with patients' lives here. These issues and shortcomings in the health sector will cause the next human crisis.
එකක් බවට පත් වෙනවා විශේෂයෙන්ම මේ සෞඛ්‍ය පද්ධතියේ තියෙන මේ බරපතල ඌන සහ ගැටලු.
Various views were expressed in the political sphere regarding the incidents reported in the health sector. The Uttara Lanka Sabagya said emergency purchases in the health sector must be halted immediately.
The health ministry is making various statements. There are many officials in the health ministry and they also give various responses. They allow the shortages to happen and then make emergency purchases. It is easier to make underhand deals that way. The prices are not subject to tenders and they cannot take a cut. They are risking the lives of the patients. I don't know if there are such inhuman politicians anywhere else in the world. In another country, either the health minister or health secretary should take responsibility and resign. None of them are resigning and they don't care.
මේ වගකීම බාර අරගෙන එක්ක ඇමතියා ඉල්ලාස් වෙන්න ඕන නැත්නම් සෞඛ්‍ය අමාත්‍යාංශ ලේකම් ඉල්ලාස් වෙන්න ඕන. එකෙක්වත් ඉල්ලාස් වෙන්නේ නැහැ. උන්ට කිසි ගාණකුත් නැහැ.
The Samagi Jana Balawegi also expressed views in this regard.
මාධ්‍ය කණ්ඩායම් හරහා ප්‍රචාරයක් ගෙන
They're trying to show that there are no issues in the country and there are no queues and power cuts through some media groups. But no one speaks of how people are dying. There are substandard medicine across the country. People are dying after being administered anesthetic drugs. Large-scale theft is happening through emergency purchases. It is very concerning whether there are more thefts happening now than during the Rajapaksa regime. When will the emergency purchases and the importation of substandard medicines stop? When will the deaths due to substandard medicine stop and the theft stop? They are using loans to stay afloat.
ණය අරගෙන මැච් ගන්න සෙල්ලමක් තමයි යන්නේ.
The National Bhikkhu Front also convened a media briefing on Thursday.
They are making people go blind and risking their lives by importing substandard medicines. We need ministers who will put a stop to people dying due to lack of medicine. Doctors have left the country and it is very difficult for hospitals to operate. They are conducting surveys. They have no care for people's lives. The health minister is making meaningless statements for his survival. We have no use of such ministers.
The second generation said it is a grave situation that solutions are not provided for health concerns.
The health minister and groups connected to the health administration are silent when concerns are brought up. They are acting without any care. The health sector cannot expect anything more from a man who goes to Singapore to get medicines for a headache.
News first with the people.
Now, while there is such a debate going on regarding the health sector of Sri Lanka, there are also numerous issues in the agriculture sector as well.
The price of paddy is one of the main concerns.
Yes, Naveksha, and against such a backdrop now, the Minister of Agriculture says that even though the price of a kilogram of paddy has been stated as 60 rupees and 75 rupees at present, they are committed to buy a kilogram of paddy for 95 rupees.
However, the farmers say that the production cost of 1 kilogram of paddy is 120 rupees.
By this time next week, we are implementing a program to purchase paddy across the country. We stated the price as 60 rupees to 75 rupees, but we will buy for 95 rupees. About 1.7 kilos of paddy have already been bought in the southern province, Sabaragamu province and Monoragala district. When the paddy marketing board was purchasing for 95 rupees, the paddy sold for 60 to 70 has already increased to 85 rupees. We started buying with the funds we have and we will get the loan approved by the bank as soon as the cabinet approval is received. We are working towards conducting this program efficiently.
The All Ceylon Farmers Federation states that the price given by the government is not sufficient.
As of today, newly harvested and dried paddy can be given for only 70 rupees. Raw paddy is priced at 60 to 65 rupees. Old paddy was sold for 80 to 82 during the Maha season. When we asked from the farmers, they said they had to spend between 115 to 120 rupees for production of 1 kilogram of paddy within the Rajangane area. If the production cost of 1 kilo of rice is 115 to 120 rupees, and if they have to sell it for 70 rupees and raw rice at 60 rupees, a farmer faces a loss of about 30 to 40 rupees per kilo. That is why we are saying that 1/3 of the production cost of a kilo of paddy should be definitely added as the profit. Why should you add it as a profit? Since the prices of all the other commodities have increased, the farmers has to sell a kilo of paddy for 60 to 70 rupees, and he has to purchase a bar of soap for 220 rupees and a pencil which was at 15 rupees before for 40 rupees today. Sugar and dal has also increased. Then what will be the fate of these farmers?
කිලෝ එක අධික මිලකට නම් ගන්න වෙන්නේ සීනි කිලෝ එක අධික මිලකට නම් ගන්න වෙන්නේ මේ ගොවියට අත්වෙන ඉරණම මොකද්ද?
Meanwhile, the Minister of Agriculture observed a chili plantation in the Polonnaruwa Sevanapitia area done under the Agriculture Modernization Project.
The farmers here say that they have earned an income of about 1.5 million by planting on this half an acre plot of land. Chili that would usually be grown on about 2 acres of land was grown on half an acre of land with the use of modern technology, and they have been able to get a better harvest.
However, several farmers said that the minister had not allowed them to present their true issues.
These are weak plantations. They did not look into what are the facilities needed. There are farmers who are helpless after their plantations had failed twice. There is no point in looking at just one plantation. The needs of other farmers should also be looked into. There is no point in just speaking to the media. He should speak to us about our issues. The media might show the world that the people here are living luxurious lives. Only the farmers here know how much we suffer. We were told that we will be given solar water pumps, but today we have to spend 1,000 rupees a day just to spray water. The shed in Sevanagala does not even have kerosene oil. The minister went inside, he spoke there, and then he came out and left. If the minister is coming to meet the people, he should ask us as to what issues we face.
While the Minister of Agriculture inspected a chili plantation, Minister of Irrigation Roshan Ranasinghe began the renovation of the Giritale LB1 Reservoir located in his electorate. This project is being carried out under a loan of $25 million granted for the renovation of reservoirs.
There were good things that happened during the past 75 years, but as a country, we have gone backwards. We need to stabilize the country this year, and we need a national policy for the next 5 to 15 years. We need policies that do not change when the government changes. We need to fix an agriculture policy, education policy, and an economic policy. We cannot delay this any longer. What will happen if we do not do this?
Meanwhile, Minister of Transport, Highways and Mass Media Bandulu Gunawardena took a train ride to visit several stations along the newly renovated Anuradhapura Omantha railway track. He planted several Crudia zelenica saplings along the way. The railway track was renovated under an Indian loan. Minister Bandulu Gunawardena began his journey from the Anuradhapura train station by planting the Crudia zelenica sapling. The minister also planted a Crudia zelenica sapling in Kilinotri when the train stopped in the area.
The railway tracks were removed, the paths were elevated, and anecots along the way were renovated. The railway track was renovated in a manner that it will last for many generations. Once the stretch from Anuradhapura to Mahawaya is constructed, the time taken to travel from Jaffna to Colombo will reduce by an hour.
Afterwards, the group reached the Jaffna train station.
Now, where are we actually heading as a nation? People's Tomorrow organization convened a media briefing to express their views in this regard.
No matter how many people die as a result of this substandard medicine, the minister does not care anymore. At the end, the innocent poor people will have to face consequences of these actions. The president, the prime minister or the health minister does not care at all. Can you, the citizens of this country, stay silent with all these issues? This minister has failed. The agriculture minister cannot take a proper decision on the distribution of fertilizer for the next season. He is not sure as to whether they will issue a voucher or deposit cash to farmers' accounts. People will curse at the government. Recently we saw the accident in Kotalia. Now what was the reason for this accident? Here they have broadened the road, but they have failed to broaden the bridge. The minister says that the IMF has informed to hold all road constructions. If that is the case, why don't you ask the IMF to take your salary as well? And ask the IMF to feed your families. These ministers have failed. CTB cannot run their buses today. The railway department cannot extend any of their railway lines any further. There's always a fraud involved when they purchase a new train. But they continue to remain in these positions. Shahan Semasinghe is saying that even though they gave the Samurdhi benefit, 90% of the people who received the Samurdhi benefit have failed to stand on their own. Even ministers in his government have failed. What is happening now is that the president is on his own and he is dreaming of a way to become the president again. And then the ministers are just taking time here without doing anything. None of them are taking any responsibility here. As a country, we are going around the world with a begging bowl in hand. And why do we need such blood-sucking ministers to this country? What we can see here is that the same set of people who threw this country under the bus once is just making it worse today.
තවත් තියාගෙන ඉන්න. අයි මොකටද තවත් තියන් ඉන්නේ? ඒ නිසා රටම අසමත් කරපුන් ටික නැවත ඇවිල්ලා ඒ අසමත්භාවයේ පතුලටම මේ රට නැවත ඇදගෙන යන බවක් තමයි අපිට දකින්න හම්බෙන්නේ.
Here are some of the views expressed by the Sarvapakshika Aragala Karuo.
බන්දුල ගුණවර්ධන ප්‍රවාහන ඇමති විදියට
As the Minister of Transport, Bandulu Gunawardana is saying that he doesn't have money to renovate dilapidated, dangerous roads. These deaths are not mere deaths, they are murders. These deaths that occur at hospitals are not mere deaths, they are also murders. There is blood on the hands of the cabinet of this country. Therefore, we would like to ask for these people to be removed from the government immediately. If not, the end of this government too is not too far away.
අවසානය විනාශය බොහොම ළඟකයි කියලා.
Sri Lanka is undergoing reforms in many sectors in the country right now. Sri Lanka is also seeking international support in reforming several sectors. We'll bring you the details after this short commercial break. Don't go anywhere. You're watching Primetime News on TV1.
News First. Main sponsor.
Durden's Hospital, dedicated to you. When a heart attack strikes, every minute makes the difference between life and death. With the right care and treatment at the hand of the most skilled surgeons and medical professionals. With the perfect environment for recovery. Durden's Heart Centre, dedicated to you.
President Ranil Wickremesinghe says an invitation was extended to former British Minister Francis Maduro to visit Sri Lanka and share his insights on sectoral reform. Furthermore, the president said that Sri Lanka needs to tailor its own economic policy after studying policies followed elsewhere in the world.
President Ranil Wickremesinghe stressed the importance of financial discipline in nation building and announced plans to promptly introduce formal measures to control public expenditure and generate new government revenue. The president highlighted the need to maximize the value of every rupee spent by the government, as currently public expenditure often fails to achieve this objective. He expressed concerns over not only the neglect of public revenue but also unrestricted spending of public funds on non-beneficial activities, which has contributed to the economic crisis in the country.
We need to adopt a new mechanism that will generate more revenue. We adopted this current policy from the United Kingdom. They have developed these policies today. We need to tailor our own economic policy after studying these new policies. Even now they have presented some amendments to their Auditor General's Act. The main man behind this was the former British Minister Francis Maude, who served under Prime Minister David Cameron. We have extended an invitation to him to visit Sri Lanka. We have completely neglected our income since the 1970s. We have removed the income sector from the country's administrative arm. On the other hand, we have spent our funds without any control.
අනිත් පැත්තෙන් අපි මුදල් කිසිම සීමාවක් නැතුව වියදම් කරලා තියෙනවා.
The second annual tax symposium organized by the Faculty of Taxation of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Sri Lanka was held in Colombo on Thursday.
Expert knowledge under the topic of tax was discussed at the second annual tax symposium, which is organized by the Faculty of Taxation of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Sri Lanka. A panel discussion was held with the participation of economic experts, Dr. Nishanti Mel, Executive Director of Verite Research, Murtaza Jaffarji, CEO of JB Securities Limited, Economic Advisor to the Ministry of Finance, Deshalti Mel, PKG Harish Chandra, Director, Economic Research Department at the Central Bank of Sri Lanka, and Bingumal Tevatantri, CEO of Standard Chartered Bank.
If you treat debt rollover by simply postponing when that debt will become due, all we do is we kick the can down the road. We meet the target for the next 5 years, next 8 years, 2033 to 38, you then pile up your gross financing needs. So we need to solve this problem, not just for the IMF program duration, but for all time. That's a sustainable solution, because otherwise the closer you get to the horizon of 2032, the more precarious your economy will look, and people will start reacting to that risk and uncertainty well in advance. Markets are good at spotting that. So it's cutting coupons is not a gross financing needs question. Cutting coupons is really about also piling up the quantity of your debt and debt to GDP. And I think the comment I made is cutting coupons for the central bank doesn't do the trick enough. We must cut it to the market because central bank is fully owned by the government.
Towards next year, you start to see more kind of demand picking up, largely supported by a lower interest rate regime. But more importantly, the fact that inflation has come down as well. It's very important that you're not going to see this continued spiral of prices increasing. That stabilization will also allow wages to gradually catch up, and then of course you're also seeing a greater degree of stability in terms of the currency as well. So all of those factors I think will combine to enable demand to pick up in a bigger way in 2024. And beyond, but it will be a fairly gradual process.
Attending the event virtually, senior economist of the World Bank, Alistair Thomas, spoke about the tax policy principles across countries.
High-income, low-income countries, there is very inconsistent and incoherent taxation across different asset types. Now, that is sometimes intentional. Countries will typically provide significant tax favorable treatment to private pensions, for example, with EET systems that provide deductions or credits upfront for contributions made to private pension schemes, and then we'll have even potentially concessionary taxation on final sale, on final payments, pension payments to retirees, and these can actually result in negative effective tax rates being imposed.
Fitch Rating has revised the outlook on the Ceylon Electricity Board's national long-term rating to positive from stable and has simultaneously affirmed the rating at B.
Fitch also affirmed the national long-term rating of CEB's outstanding senior unsecured debentures at B. The positive outlook reflects the likely upgrade of the Sri Lankan sovereign's long-term local currency issuer default rating to reflect the sovereign's prospects following the completion of a domestic debt exchange. It said that it will equalize CEB's ratings with that of the sovereign if the sovereign's long-term local currency IDR is upgraded to above CC, in line with our government-related entities' rating criteria, resulting in a rating upgrade on the national scale.
Deputy Asia Director of the Human Rights Watch, Meenakshi Ganguly, in a statement said that a year after Rajapaksa, Sri Lanka remains in crisis and that new leadership has failed to uphold basic rights and bring accountability.
Meenakshi Ganguly, Deputy Asia Director of the Human Rights Watch, in her statement said, quote, while the previous government had announced a moratorium on the use of the Draconian Prevention of Terrorism Act, Wickramasinghe used the law to detain student protest leaders, unquote. She added, quote, a revised counter-terrorism law proposed by the new administration would have handed sweeping powers to the police, the military and the president and created a set of new speech-related offences. The government was forced to pass the legislation amid widespread outrage, but authorities are nevertheless using other laws to clamp down on free speech, unquote. Meenakshi Ganguly, Deputy Asia Director of the Human Rights Watch, in her statement said, quote, Sri Lanka remains in an economic, political and human rights crisis. President Wickramasinghe should recognize that upholding rights and pursuing accountability for grave crimes is essential to addressing the country's problems, unquote.
A proposal by Indian Oil Corporation or IOC for an oil distribution pipeline connecting Nagapatnam, Trincomalee and Colombo was discussed yesterday.
The meeting was chaired by Ministry of Power and Energy, Kanchana Wijesekara.
Officials of the Indian High Commission, Ministry of Power and Energy, Ceylon Petroleum Corporation, Ceylon Petroleum Storage Terminals Limited, Petroleum Development Authority of Sri Lanka, Indian Oil Corporation and Lanka IOC participated in the discussion held at the Ministry of Power and Energy. Taking to Twitter, Minister of Power and Energy Kanchana Wijesekara said he requested the participants to look at a two-way oil and gas pipeline, taken into consideration the government's development plan for the Trincomalee tank farm and energy hub. Other aspects that the minister wants discussed are future developments of refineries, oil and gas exploration and pipeline connections to domestic LPG terminals that will target regional oil and gas export markets while enabling energy requirements of both countries. Project feasibility and technical requirements will be assessed before finalization of the project scope for approval. President Ranil Wickramasinghe is scheduled to commence an official visit to India on the 21st of July, and Minister of Foreign Affairs Ali Sabri PC recently said more attention will be paid to the energy sector between the two countries.
Mrs. India INC, the most popular beauty pageant for married women in India, has decided to switch things up by hosting its fourth season right here in Sri Lanka. The first time that the pageant is being held outside of India. Legends 966 and TV1 are the proud media partners of Mrs. India INC Season 4.
Mrs. India INC Season 4 promises to be a truly remarkable and international affair, as the grand finale will take place in the captivating island nation of Sri Lanka. Mrs. India INC is part of the world's oldest and most credible beauty pageant. The highly anticipated finale of Mrs. India INC Season 4 will take place from the 13th of July to the 19th of July, offering a captivating schedule filled with exhilarating events and experiences. The contestants arrived in Sri Lanka today amidst a warm welcome, and thereafter the orientation ceremony took place in Colombo.
Mrs. India INC kicked off yesterday right here in Colombo, and now this is the first time that Mrs. India INC is going out of India, and this time it's being held in our beautiful motherland, Sri Lanka. As you can see behind me, the top 70 contestants arrived in Sri Lanka today, and now is when the fun starts. So they're going to be here throughout this week, engaging in a lot of fun activities and going around Colombo to see what they can experience of our beautiful motherland. So stay tuned to News First as we bring you the latest from their journey to the crown.
Season 4 of Mrs. India INC kicked off with an impressive participation of 75 Indian contestants from various parts of India and across the globe.
Hi, I'm Dr. Piali Roy from USA, originally from Kolkata, India. I'm attending Mrs. India INC 2023 Season 4. The contest is on, fire is on. We are all excited to be here in Sri Lanka.
I am coming from California. I am super excited to be a part of this pageant. It has been my dream to be a pageant, and this is my first pageant. So I am extremely excited to be here, and let's see how it goes.
Hello everyone, my name is Prerna and I'm coming all the way from Dubai to this beautiful country Sri Lanka and beautiful city Colombo. I'm super excited to be part of Mrs. India INC and that too in Sri Lanka.
Hi, my name is Saloni Grover. I'm from Lucknow, India, and I feel great to be here with Mrs. India INC and in Sri Lanka. The hospitality is amazing.
Hi, I'm Nitika Satya. I've come here to participate in Mrs. India Inc. Season 4 and I'm feeling so excited, a little nervous, but that's okay. That's a happy nervousness. And I'm here to give my best and enjoy to the fullest.
Hi, my name is Amrita Shinde. I'm from Mumbai, India, and I'm here to participate in Mrs. India INC Season 4 because I believe in myself, and this is the great platform for married women, divorced and widowed women.
Hi, I'm Nivedita. I'm from Mumbai, India. I have come to participate in Mrs. India INC Season 4 and I'm super excited and a little bit nervous because we are yet to know what is kept for us in the season.
Throughout the week, the contestants will have the privilege of exploring the picturesque beauty of Sri Lanka, immersing themselves in the vibrant local culture and creating cherished memories.
Moving on to more local news. Now, these are the views expressed by MP Dr. Nalaka Godaheva at a media briefing held today regarding the situation in the country after the Aragalaya.
It has been a year since the people removed a president of this country. What has changed after a year since the Aragalaya that changed a president? A year on, we see that people are leaving the country in record numbers. The number of people who can't afford meals has increased significantly. Poverty has increased by 4 million. Sometimes there are goods, but people don't have money. So what did we achieve from the Aragalaya? The group that created the economy that led to the Aragalaya are still there. The two groups that have contributed to aggravate the economic crisis of this country for more than a decade now join hands and rule this country. So, was the end result of the Aragalaya bringing the two groups who ruined the country together?
අරගලේ අවසානයේදී කලේ මේ රට කාපු දෙගොල්ලම එකට ගෙනාපු එක පමණයි නේද කියලා.
In news from overseas now, Peter Limjanurat, the leader of the Progressive Party that won the most votes in Thailand's general election, has failed in his initial bid to become the country's next Prime Minister.
The 42-year-old businessman who heads the Move Forward party was unopposed in Thursday's contest but could not muster the required support with a host of abstentions and votes against him. PITA's 8-party alliance controls 312 seats in the lower house, but to get the required 375 votes, he needed support from some of the 249 members of the conservative-leaning upper house, which was appointed by military after a coup in 2016. When voting concluded, PITA had won 323 votes, including from 13 senators. Some 182 legislators voted against him, while 198 abstained from voting.
Sri Lanka's Nadisha Ramanayake won a gold medal at the Asian Athletic Championships in Thailand.
Meanwhile, Samita Dulan claimed the bronze medal at the Para Athletics World Championships in France.
Today is the second day of the 25th Asian Athletics Championships in Bangkok. Nadisha Ramanayake won the gold medal in the women's 400-meter race and finished the race with a time of 52.61 seconds. Uzbekistan won the silver medal while India claimed the bronze medal. Samita Dulan participated in the men's F64 javelin event at the Para-Athletics World Championships in Paris today and won the bronze medal with a throw of 64.06 meters. It was also his best throw this season.
And that's a wrap of Primetime News on TV1 for tonight. I'm Charlotte Benedict for the News First team.
And I'm Naveksha Gunasekara. Good night.